that serves a mix of subjects, chatting with the personalities in and out of the news, developments, business, politics, technology, and the arts. In the Lunchroom, you'll get a taste of everything that's adding flavor to St. Lucia. The Lunchroom, weekdays after the news from 12:45 to 2 p.m. Only on RCI. On RCI.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Monday, the 8th of June, 2026. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. In addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can also get us at our website, rcistlucia.com. We are also streaming live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International on Facebook. And please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. The numbers to call in to tell us what's on your plate today. First, our direct line number, 452-3046. And, of course, we hope you can call in to tell us how your weekend went and what's on your plate. Again, that number, 452-3046. We also have the option of reaching in via WhatsApp. That number is 284-6001. Again, 284-6001 if you want to call in or message in via WhatsApp. A look back in time on this day in the year 452 AD, Attila the Hun invaded Italy. 793 on this day, Vikings in longships from modern-day Norway plundered St. Cuthbert's Monastery in Lindisfarne Island on the northeast coast of England, capturing and killing monks. In the year 1783 on this day, Laki volcano in southern Iceland began an 8-month eruption, killing 10,000 people and causing widespread famine throughout Europe and Asia. 1789 on this day, James Madison introduced a proposed Bill of Rights in the U.S. House of Representatives. 1918 on this day, Nova Aquilae was discovered, the brightest nova since Kepler's nova in 1604. And in the year 1987 on this day, New Zealand's Labour government legislated against nuclear weapons and nuclear-powered vehicles, the only nation to legislate against nuclear power. We now move on to our dish of the day.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
Welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. And we do hope that everybody had a very enjoyable weekend. And today, we definitely want to make special mention and homage to a lady who has certainly done remarkably well for St. Lucia in many different fields, and even in the highest office in the land as Governor General of St. Lucia. And I speak none other than Dame Calliope Paulette Louisi, Governor General Emerita of St. Lucia, who today is marking a very remarkable age and a birthday, celebrating 80 years on this earth and being alive. And so we certainly want to extend our best birthday greetings and wishes to her, and of course to thank her for what she has done in terms of the office of Governor General, when she served certainly the longest serving Governor General of St. Lucia, being in office for the better part of 20 years. First, being appointed on the 19th of September 1997, and was in that office until the last day of 2017. And of course, Dame Perlett was more than just a Governor General. Even before she started in that office, she served as the principal of the South Louis Community College, the island's principal tertiary level education institution. Many, of course, would know her as well, as we mentioned, as her time in office, and she brought to it her own personal touch, in particular that of her linguistic capabilities, and her passion for the Creole language was not missed at every speech from the throne, which of course would have been every year at the state opening of Parliament. And so certainly that has brought a certain level of recognition and appreciation to the importance of Creole. She was also very instrumental as well in helping in the crafting of the most recent version of the national anthem in Creole, which in fact is being utilized, I realize, a lot more since it in fact was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers back in 2016. And so just very quickly to share her story, born in the village of Labrie, St. Lucia, Dame Paulette attended the Labrie Infant School and Primary Schools. In 1960, she proceeded to the St. Joseph's Convent on the Javoué, Blessed Anne Marie Javoué Scholarship. In 1966, a year after the completion of her secondary education, she was awarded the Canadian International Development Agency CEDA Scholarship to pursue a bachelor's degree in English and French at the University of the West Indies at Cave Hill, Barbados. In 1972, she was awarded the Canadian Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship Plan to pursue an MA degree in linguistics in the fields of didactics at the Université Laval in Quebec City, Canada. 1991, she proceeded to the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom, where she read for a PhD degree in education. Louise has contributed significantly to the development of education in St. Lucia, having spent most of her professional life in the teaching profession. During the periods 1969 to 1972 and 1975 to 1976, she taught at the St. Joseph's Convent. From 1976 to 1986, she served as a tutor of French and was subsequently appointed as principal of the St. Lucia A-Level College. When the A-Level College and Mon Technical School merged into the South Louis Community College, she served as dean. She first served as dean and was subsequently appointed as the vice principal and then principal of the college. In 1999, Louise was awarded the honorary degree of Doctors of Law by the University of Bristol. On the 16th of July 1999, she was appointed Dame Grand Cross of the Order of St. Michael and St. George. In 2011, she received an honorary doctorate of laws, LLB, from the University of the West Indies. And of course, as has been mentioned, a number of other awards, papal honors, Commonwealth honors, and of course, Grand Cross of the Order of St. Lucia. She has, for a number of years, in fact, was the Chancellor of the Order of St. Lucia and was responsible for guiding the process of the whole process of national awards for quite a number of years as she served as Governor General of St. Lucia. And even though she has retired from that position, she has certainly continued in a number of areas of support, in particular that of the Nobel Laureate Committee and the efforts continuing at the annual recognition of St. Lucia's Nobel Prize winners, Sir Derek Walcott and Sir William Arthur Lewis, and ensuring that the whole pursuit of excellence is still placed within the minds of young and old here in St. Lucia. And so, of course, on her 80th birthday, we definitely want to recognize her, give her accolades and her flowers, and celebrating her, as we still certainly have her very much active and present in St. Lucian society and in giving back. So certainly a very, very warm and happy birthday to Dame Paulette Louise. And let's hope that if you are going to be sending any gifts or cake, you're not sending it to the Dame Paulette Louise school. And I recall Dame Paulette indicating that sometimes she, mail would be sent to her and it ends up at the Dame Paulette Louise school and not to her. And of course, that is perhaps part of the challenge of being honored when you've got your name on an institution that is pretty well known in the country, that of the largest primary school on island, that, those things will sometimes happen. But certainly, she's also still serves as the patron of the St. Lucia National Trust and takes a great interest in matters of heritage and culture, whether it might be the matter of language, and the Creole language, of course, still something she is very much passionate about. So, especially at a time like this when we've just lost another Governor General of St. Lucia, Sir Neville Snack, a date, I believe, for his state funeral is to be announced soon. And we are, in fact, noting that we have had a number of individuals who have gone on and have served in that position as Governor General, the highest position of the land as it is right now, that we should certainly remember these individuals and the contributions that they have made to this country. I remember when I was a young boy, the Governor General that we knew at that time growing up was Sir Stanislaus James. And it is sometimes very unfortunate that we sometimes don't necessarily respect our persons who have gone before. And very, very interestingly, just recently, there was an article on the matter of Tutankhamun's tomb, right? In Tutankhamun being one of the most famous pharaohs of ancient Egypt, of the land of Kemet, and one of the most recent tombs to have been found, and it was found intact, which was quite a remarkable situation, because so many of these tombs over the years were pillaged, and one might understand why, because in that era, the funerary rites, the rituals associated with moving on to the afterlife at that time, a lot of it was tied to a belief that individuals might be able to move on to the next step with their entire retinue of wealth and whatever else they may want in support. And so, of course, in many of these tombs, you would find lots of luxurious items for their time, and various precious metals and carvings and sculptures, and even sadly, of course, in some instances, in some of these funerary rituals, they would even sometimes sacrifice persons who were still alive, and by placing them in their tombs so that they might be able to continue along with their ruler or their king into the afterlife, right? And we've seen this in many cultures around the world. And so this, of course, was a tomb of Tutankhamun. And the interesting thing that they found in this tomb which one of the things that was included was that of honey. And that honey was still actually edible. It was still pure. And of course, that has a lot to do with the chemistry of honey and its properties that are antibacterial, and so it protects them from fungal or bacterial breakdown. And so it actually, to a great degree, can actually preserve even thousands of years once there's no presence of moisture. And so I'm raising all of that to say that, individuals go to a great length and have gone to a great length to be remembered in the afterlife. And of course, which is why we see the matter of cemeteries and the matter of places of memory being important. Unfortunately, we have had a pretty rough time as it is in respect of cemeteries and places of memory. Now, truth be told, even in terms of our own focus as to who is remembered, very few St. Lucians actually can say that they can have a place of memory. They know where their possibly their maybe 6 generations back great grandparents are buried, and part of it, of course, is the fact that we've lost so much over the years. People forget where people have been buried. They forget where tombs are. And this is something that we see in all cultures, that, over time, these things just simply get forgotten. And there's that theory, of course, that even people who, 100 years on, or even 200, and then by 300 years, nobody even remembers your name, right? But we still have some places of memory that still exists, and it is unfortunate that we can see sometimes individuals vandalizing the memory of individuals who still have tombs intact. And there is, in fact, one such cemetery upon the Mon, in fact, not very well known to many, perhaps, which was the place of burial for a number of governors of St. Lucia. And that cemetery dates back into possibly even into the 18th century, but certainly a lot of burials in the 19th century, the 1830s, where there was a yellow fever epidemic in St. Lucia, and a number of governors and other persons living at the Mon at that time were actually killed as a result of this epidemic and were buried there. And the most recent burial, in fact, is that of Governor General Sir Iris Simmons, who is, in fact, also buried at that cemetery. And, of course, this is somebody who is within our period of reckoning, our period of memory of many people out there. And so it really is an unfortunate situation sometimes when we see vandalism and of tombs of people who have loved ones who want to be able to have a place to go to up to a day like today, right? So we've got to be a little bit more mindful of this aspect when it comes to places of memory. And also to realize that in the whole process of it, there are many others who may still be found as a result of construction work sometimes, or archaeology being done for a deliberate purpose of trying to find out these places. And so it is important that we value this within our context. We've seen and still see, unfortunately, situations right now in our country that are not ideal when it comes to that sort of situation, where we've seen even human settlements being formed over some of these places. Now, there may be some who will tell you that, this idea of, having a place of burial is nice, but then, there are needs in a country, and people need a place to live. And true, there was also a time when persons were buried in their homes, in the floors of their homes even. And we've seen that, of course, in terms of some of the archaeological finds, such as what has been found at Aslavut up in the Kazaba area, where Amerindians, in fact, had that practice of actual burial within the house, below the floor. And so it is that, these cultures and our cultures, of course, we do have to see and come to an understanding as to how to be able to remember and to celebrate those who have gone before us, and how that is important for a society being able to move on and to have sense of itself. That's our dish of the day. And when we come back, we will be taking in our weather reports, compliments the St. Lucia Met Services.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my #1 store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's all, of course, for the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 23 miles per hour or 37 kilometers per hour. Weather fair, hazy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. The forecast for Lausanne today is fair, hazy and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. And the tropical weather outlook, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate moderate to brisk easterly winds and generate stable conditions around the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. A thin layer of surrounding dust haze will continue to linger around the region for the next couple of days. Also, two tropical waves located over the central and eastern tropical Atlantic are moving westward near 70 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. A third tropical wave located off the coast of West Africa is moving westward near 6 miles per hour or 9 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone formation is not expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this has been your weather forecast as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 #1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
Welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Over the weekend, of course, there was also the Junior Pan competition at the Manu Phillip Park, and we want to congratulate all the performers, all the participants in that event, and of course, in particular, the Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School band, the team there, who in fact brought it home with the main prize. So congratulations to them, and of course the importance of this growing is really important. There was a nice piece by Mr. Jason Joseph, the Bachelor, reminding us of the importance of consistency and pointing out, and it was in respect more of the Calypso and Soca competitions, that it is good practice for schools to have their own internal competitions at the school level, to be able to create that kind of competition, that kind of practice, that kind of opportunity for students to participate. And then you really are then ending up choosing the best performer or performers to now move on to the next level. And so he did make a note of that. Of course, Mr. Joseph, I believe, still very critical in the whole process of music education through CAMDU. The importance of it at the school level is something we certainly do need to continue to see. And certainly at the curriculum level, ensuring that there is enough adequate time, expertise, as well as other resources like equipment, musical equipment, and to be able to actually teach music effectively in our school system. So again, kudos to the many who are continuing to give it their all in terms of musical education, musical training in this country. And it has to be mainstreamed. We do have a few institutions out there who themselves might be facing their own struggles in terms of music education. And of course, there are sometimes many who would have taught music through their own efforts, music lessons and on the side, and that's still very important. But the need to mainstream it is something that is going to require a deliberate effort to ensure that that is part of the opportunity afforded to a student in our primary school, in our secondary school at this time. So let's hope that these seeds are going to blossom into something great and grand. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us via our WhatsApp number, that is 284-6001. Let's go to the phone lines at this time to take in a call. It's also World Oceans Day. I should make mention of that. We'll touch on that in just a bit. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom, and what's on your plate? How are you doing, caller?
Yeah.
Hi, caller. I think you're listening to yourself on the radio. You're
on.
on.
Sorry.
Yes.
Right. Now, I'll just, there was a woman, she was a slave, and a tombstone, what on a tombstone, a give you the. I was born a pagan Negro slave. Now sleep in my grave.
Sorry, caller, you're breaking up. We're not hearing everything you're saying.
I was born a pagan slave. Now sleep a Christian in my grave. So the days were sad in my slavery. My Lord above will change all this, and shall send angel to accompany me with light. You get it?
I caught some words, and we didn't catch all, I don't think. She was born a pagan. She was born a pagan, and she became a Christian, and something about her Lord.
Yeah, I was born a pagan and a Negro slave.
Uh-huh.
Now sweetly sleep a Christian in my grave.
Okay.
Though the days were sad in my slavery, God will change all this. Shall angel to accompany me with radium light. You get it?
I think I heard that she is now in grace, and that an angel will accompany her.
With radium.
In radiant light. Okay.
Yeah, that is one of the slaves in Bristol, England.
Ah, I see. Hello? Oh, I think we may have lost that caller. Unfortunately, very interesting piece there being captured. And I suspect he was coming to make a point, but he may have to call back. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate, it is 452-3046, 452-3046. And over at VG Beach, there are some images of a turtle coming up, a hawksbill, to lay eggs, and yet another reminder of the importance of our beaches. And although we may think of it as just merely a place of recreation and enjoyment, it's also the place of birth for a number of species out there, particularly these turtles. And even the St. Lucia iguana has a similar type of behavior. Although it will live most of its life up in the trees, up in the hinterland, they come down as well onto the beach to give birth, so to lay eggs. So it's something to be mindful of sometimes when you're out on the beach. And of course, we see sometimes, all too often, vehicles that are going way too close to the sand itself, or further into the sand. So those things, I think, good to remember them at that point where the water meets the land, and these settings of beaches, as we remember World Ocean Day today, and of course the importance of our oceans in providing food, the fisheries that we depend on, and we've seen how that has been impacted and is changing significantly. The whole conversation we had very recently about how some species which we were so plentiful before are now barely known by the young people growing up today. And so once upon a time, the average Barbadian and St. Lucian would have been eating flying fish as a regular occurrence on almost a daily basis, perhaps. And now it's a delicacy. It's something that is not even known to some people out there. The same could be said of sea urchins or chardon. And I remember hearing tales and stories about this being so plentiful in places like V4 that they would have, people would have waited until the later hours in the evening when they knew that it would be almost given away for a few pennies because it was so plentiful in that time. And now, of course, many a young person may not have would not have even known what it tastes like or even looks like in some instances. So certainly the oceans are a massive resource, yes, and we've been speaking about it from a number of different perspectives. And of course, there is this major emphasis now on seeing the oceans as part of your territorial space and the importance of the blue economy within this context. I just heard about Barbados, for example, looking at its potential for undersea development of hydrocarbons and oil and gas, that industry, and so there is a lot to consider within our ocean, but quite often we think of it as a place that is, it's so broad and vast that, there's no way that human beings could impact on it. And we are seeing tremendous impact on the ecosystem of the oceans, and it's in very many instances, unfortunately, having a very negative impact. The impact of overfishing, the impact of microplastics, the impact of pollution from so many different sources, the impacts on coral reefs, and it's very much integrated into a balanced system. Another image coming out over the weekend, thanks to drone pilot, Mr. Chris Kessel, flying over the Makote mangrove, and the Makote mangrove being the largest single mangrove in the Eastern Caribbean, and when also considered next to another important mangrove, that of the Savans Bay mangrove, all part of the Puetsab Environmental Protection Area on the southeast coast of the island. And he was able to show through his some drone footage the issue of mangrove dieback and large areas of mangrove being lost. Part of it, of course, has to do with the balance that exists in mangroves, and it's a balance of salinity, right? How much salt exists in these spaces, and it also requires some level of fresh water to also be coming into these spaces, into these wetlands. And if that is not in balance, you'll find that the salinity levels are way too high, and you end up with significant dying of mangroves in the area. The, of course, issue of drought, you can understand how that can impact on mangroves as well. And so, of course, and ensuring that they can get sufficient amounts of fresh water coming into the mangroves. So there is, and has been for some time, attempts at looking at the health of these mangroves and trying to conserve them, because they are very important areas as nurseries for the island's fisheries, and so certainly very important from that perspective. And they can, of course, be also very beautiful spaces, very remarkable plants that can exist in these types of environments, and so from a touristic perspective, for example, it's can have great value, and so these types of unfortunate situations with respect to mangroves certainly can cause for long-term impacts. And so, as we're remembering, of course, the World Oceans Day today, we're also remembering that what's in the ocean is very much tied to what's in the land as well, right? And we have that impact on what is actually going on in these spaces. And you would also have seen, maybe within that shot, for those of you who saw that video, a lot of pink water, if you like. And you see that sometimes in mangroves and wetlands as a result of a particular bloom. I think it's a bacteria that actually lives in mangrove waters. And when the salinity levels change, it triggers them to effectively grow exponentially, and then that's where you get that pinkish color coming out, and you'll see it in some mangrove areas. As we are on the matter of wetlands, I know another video that has been circulating and has been one of concern for many, asking some questions regarding the situation in the Bois d'Ouage wetland area. In the different sort of wetland, this one not much of a mangrove wetland, but certainly more of a swamp type environment there. And these areas do provide a certain sort of sponge effect, especially for valleys where you've got flooding going on. So this is like the natural floodplain of the Bois d'Ouage River, or the Grand Rivière de la Brelotte. And of course, some scenes coming out of there pretty concerning of some backfilling going on in that area. So let's hope that the authorities are looking into precisely what is going on, because while there might be a desire for development, there has to be balance in that development, and there has to be a process by which things are done so as to ensure that the environment at the end of the day is not impacted negatively, and other people, other users, other resource users are also, their interest is also protected. So that's why there's this whole process of planning, physical planning, and the need for an application to be submitted, and that has to be reviewed. And in some instances, you may very well require an environmental impact assessment to be done to look into what is quite possible. And this is very much in the cases where certain types of development are occurring. Some developments, it may be based on the area in question. So, for example, if it's a mangrove, or if it's a wetland area, if it's a coastal area, if it is an area that has a lot of forest cover, if it is in an area that may fall into a watershed that is important for conservation of our water resources, it may, for a number of different reasons, may require an environmental impact assessment to be done, an environmental and social impact assessment. Depending on the context, it might be a historic area or area known to have some level of archaeological value. So all of that is really to ensure that there is a level of balance in the development that is occurring. It's very easy for us to wake up and say today, hey, I want to build a quarry. That has implications. And in a place like St. Lucia, for example, we quite often see situations where maybe, let's use the example of a quarry again. A quarry is set up. You have material being removed from an area. You've got dust. You've got explosives being utilized. So the potential for seismic activity, seismic impact, impact on structures nearby, potentially even hazardous to person's existence. You may have land slippages as a result of the operation going on, loss of habitat, potential impacts on the water courses and downstream impacts. We've seen that in some places in the country where quarry may be far up in the interior, but yet still people lower down are feeling the impacts. And of course, the material has to be removed because invariably it's for economic activity off-site at another location, and that involves the use of trucks, that involves large vehicles on the road. There's a potential risk there. Quite often these roads are narrow, and you've got, of course, the impact on the road itself and the surface of the road being impacted by these heavy the heavy tonnage of these trucks moving material. And then, of course, you've got issues of the mud on the road and all sorts of other issues which can be hazardous to the individuals utilizing that road. And we've seen right here in St. Lucia instances where vehicles have from quarries have lost control. They're going down a steep hill. They've veered off and they've ended up into the homes of individuals, damaging homes. So it is certainly an important and necessary step in development, that there is that opportunity to take a pause and to look at what the impacts may be, and whether, in terms of weighing it out, whether the impacts are greater than the benefits. And if the benefits are very, very great, how then do you mitigate on the impacts to ensure that the development can, in fact, coexist within whatever reality may exist? And so it's of course, a very important process in development. The whole idea of planning and looking through how these matters might be adequately addressed. And so let's hope that we can see this done, because we quite often know that, especially when you're dealing with large developments or individuals wanting to develop their property, it can sometimes be very contentious. And of course, it is important that these things are dealt with in a fair and transparent manner. Just to make a mention as well, before we end the program, that we are going to be seeing some football very soon. And of course, that is all coming to us thanks to the World Championships, the World Cup coming up, happening across 3 countries in North America, Canada, United States, and Mexico. And their number of teams selected in the mix. Of course, the host countries are in that. Canada, Mexico, and the United States will be playing, coming out of the CONCACAF region. And in our region as well, the likes of Haiti and Panama coming out of CONCACAF, as well as making its debut, the island of Curacao, notably there, and participating for the first time in the World Cup. And so we no doubt will be looking forward to this competition. 48 teams going into that competition. 26 of that 48 were in the 2022 World Cup. Another very small country that is no doubt also very pleased to be making its debut coming out of Africa is that of Cabo Verde, or Cape Verde. And that Portuguese-speaking island has, of course, we quite often know it because of this time of year. When we hear about hurricanes being formed, and quite often they're forming somewhere near the Cape Verde Islands. Well, they perhaps are looking to have a football hurricane coming in into this World Cup, and we do hope that they can show a pretty good, give a pretty good representation of themselves, coming out of an island in African island, if you like, very, very small, similar to us right here in the Caribbean, with a population of less than 500,000, about 491,000 people sharing that archipelago, which is about 1,600 square miles. the Cape Verde Islands. Of course, a number of other countries in the mix, and no doubt a lot of people have their favorites. Usually the South American countries dominating a number of people's favorite lists, like that of Brazil and Argentina, or the perhaps as well the European favorites, the likes of France and Germany and Portugal and Spain. But there are, of course, other countries coming in for the first time. In addition to those two I just mentioned, Uzbekistan coming in from Central Asia, one of the stands there, as well as Jordan coming in for the first time into the Olympics. And who knows, maybe as well out of Africa, lots of interest there from Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal, of course Morocco, Senegal. They recently just played at a very controversial series and finals over in Morocco. Well, they have another opportunity at getting some fame coming in to the World Cup. So we're speaking about more of that, no doubt, with the kickoff. It's all set to start happening, I think, in about 3 days' time, this week. So let's hope it's all great for them. That's the program for today, and we'll be back again, God willing, for another one tomorrow. Hope you can join us for that. I'm your host, Alex George Jr., saying goodbye.
Sick of me, sick of me, sick of me. me.